the Chongjonggung is actually not very complete in this particular picture. But it was the best one I could find to show it. I remember back in... You might have heard this story a couple of weeks ago when I gave a 5-minute testimony about going to Korea. Back in 1978, when I was in the print centre, we had a morning service and we read a speech from True Father which said that Father... I've tried to find this speech, but I can't find it, unfortunately. Anyway, I clearly remember Father saying, I want to build a temple, and in there I will put a golden pillar, a pillar made of gold, and I'll put on the name of everyone who worked on the Providence. And even in thousands of years, when the temple has fallen down, that gold pillar will stay there as a testament to those people that worked on the Providence, that helped on the Providence. And I remember thinking at the time, ooh, I wonder if my name will be on that pillar. Paul, stop. A bit early for heckling, isn't it? Around about the same time, 1978, Chizuko was in Happy World, and she was asked to go on a 3-month fundraising condition to raise funds to build God's temple. And she got 3 medals during that time. And there's a bronze one on there. You can see the date on there, 1978, October, November, December. And every now and then Chizuko would find these medals and think, oh, well, where is the temple? And also they're quite heavy. And she thought, shall I just chuck them away? And she thought, no, these are historical. I'll hang on to them. So mission to mission, around the world, these medals went. The first one, I stuck it into Google Translate, and it said, Temple Construction, Fighting Spirit Award, Nishimura Chizuko, 1978. So that was the one that's the bronze one, was Fighting Spirit Award. And the 2 gold ones translate as Distinguished Merit Award. So she did very well. And then, of course, a few weeks ago, we were actually in Korea, and we saw the temple had been built. However, I was on the outside, looking in. You can see in this first picture on the left, there's this big screen, and we could see kind of what was going on the big screen. And you can see on the big screen that some people were on the inside, but even they didn't get into the temple itself. Only True Mother went in and her attendants. And those people on the inside, they were either leaders or people that gave 21 units of donation or more. I know one leader that gave 100 units of donation. So I was feeling left out on the outside, thinking, well, it's not fair, is it? You know. Of course, there was a lot of us on the outside, and I was feeling a little bit disgruntled, to be honest. But when True Mother went in, when the doors opened and True Mother went in, I just felt really, really happy. And I thought, well, actually, no one else could have done this. No one else could have accomplished this. True Father wanted to accomplish it, but because the providence was prolonged so much, basically Father ran out of time. But True Mother really wanted to do this, and you could tell. Chizuko said, I could really tell from Mother's prayer that she was so grateful to be able to make this offering to God. And I'll read Mother's prayer in a moment. But how did Mother accomplish this? What personal desires did she sacrifice in order to accomplish it, to make it happen? When I was thinking about me being stuck on the outside, and only True Mother went in, I was thinking, actually, True Mother True Mother was really the only one qualified to go in. This is God's house, so who can go into God's house? It's God's sons and daughters. God's divine sons and daughters can go into God's house. Of course, everyone is welcome. We're all welcome to go in. But I just felt a little bit symbolic that we couldn't go in. Okay, it wasn't ready. That's external. But internally, was I ready to go in? What's the difference between this temple and other temples? There's been many temples, cathedrals built. What's the difference between this one?
Time period?
Possibly, yeah. Anything else? The architecture, maybe? Why is this one so special? Well, because it was built by true Adam and Eve. It was built by true parents. True parents built this one. This is the one that Adam and Eve should have built. This is the one that God has been waiting for a true person to really recognize God. Pardon? Keep using the mic. So I realized that True Mother wants us to enter as divine sons and daughters. True Mother actually said something like this in the opening ceremony at the Peace Summit in Seoul. She said, "Many faiths have created temples where they can attend God. However, they have not understood the fundamental nature of the Creator." So, what is the fundamental nature of the Creator? This is from Mother's speech at the Peace Summit. Our Heavenly Parent's dream is to share... Sorry, I'm going to have to take this one off. Our Heavenly Parent's dream is to share life in the kingdom of heaven on earth together with good sons and daughters who have received True Parent's blessing. Through the Korean people and the Korean peninsula, something like a miracle occurred, and we could see the completion of the heavenly providence and the culmination of human history. To put it another way, through the True Parents, the dream of our Heavenly Parent, who has waited 6,000 years, and the desire of all humankind can finally be actualized. That is, through the dedication of the Chonwon-gung and the Chonwon-guk Sanctum, Heavenly Parent can reside directly with us. So what Mother means by the fundamental nature of the Creator is that He wants to share the kingdom of God, kingdom of heaven on earth together with sons and daughters that have received True Parent's blessing. And this is Mother's prayer at the opening ceremony, the dedication ceremony for the Chonwon-gung. O loving Heavenly Parent, you have endured so much and waited so long to see this day. 63 years of True Parents' course has unfolded since the appearance of the True Parents, who were able to fulfill your ideal for creation. Heavenly Parent, there is no way to express how deeply sorry we are in front of you, and our heart of deep, deep obligation and gratitude. Nevertheless, Heavenly Parent, please accept this dedication with joy. Although there have been many challenges leading up to this day, in the midst of your giving your blessing this day, we can dedicate to you the Chonwon-gung and the Chonil Sanctum, where your glory, Heavenly Parent, can be manifested on high. The tremendous joy, excitement and gratitude we feel in our hearts through doing so are beyond words. Heavenly Parent, please accept this dedication with joy. Although some aspects are still not yet complete, we will ensure they will be fully in place and ready for the entrance ceremony in 2024. Actually, Mother said it's going to be 2025 now. Accordingly, we will make every effort to create a broad environment in which you can directly commence this providence on earth with True Parents. O God, give us the wisdom and ability we need. Today is a blessed day that we can bring about the Chonwon-guk, where your hopes and wishes are fulfilled. where all people whom you can embrace and love will appear around the world. Please therefore accept this dedication with joy. We offer this all in the name of true parents. And then after the prayer, True Mother said this: glory be in heaven on earth. Glory be in heaven. On earth the exhilarated and joyful voices of the people of Chonoguk resound throughout the world. Please hear this stirring and exciting sound of joy and exultation. Throughout history, Heavenly Parent has worked hard and waited to embrace humanity. Now, due to the true parents, day by day the voices of the people of Chonoguk will resound with praise for our Heavenly Parent. Heavenly Parent, receive glory and rejoice with us. We are immensely grateful. We are so deeply grateful to dedicate this beautiful holy temple. It is certain that the people of this nation and the whole world will come to know the Heavenly Parent is always with us. We love you. Thank you, Heavenly Parent. Manse. It's rather subtle, but you can see that actually Mother is always speaking about the future in these words. She says, where all people whom you can embrace and love will appear around the world. Also, day by day, the voices of the people of Chonoguk will resound with praise for our Heavenly Parent. And also, the whole world will come to know that Heavenly Parent is always with us. So Mother's talking in her prayer and in her dedication, she's saying, well, okay, we've completed the providence, but still the world has got to come to know this. And I connect that in my mind with this. We want to go in there as divine sons and daughters. Just a couple of days ago, Chizuko saw a speech by the new president of the church in Japan, Mr. Tanaka. And he said, following this dedication ceremony, the next day, breakfast with True Mother, the leaders, you would have thought it would be a joyful occasion. It wasn't. He said it was very tense. He said it was so tense I don't even remember what I ate. Mother said something like, I don't have a proper translation, but something like, does God want to wander around the Chonoguk, the Chonmongung, an empty Chonjongung? God doesn't want to wander around an empty Chonjongung. Something like that. And Mother has sent all the leaders out to become pastors, and witnessing is the main goal. And she also said, divine principle is not enough. People need to understand the life and the course of true parents. Understand why they suffered the way they did. And also, she said, they've got to have real spiritual experience. And this is why there's the focus on the Chongqing One and the Chombo Providence. Like I said before, True Mother wants us to become divine sons and daughters. So that was the 7th of May, but we arrived on the 5th of May, and it was a bit rainy and foggy, but still has its own kind of beauty, doesn't it, even in the rain. The first time I saw this view, although it was sunny, back in 1996, 96. I walked up the hill and looked out over this view and burst into tears. I've never done that anywhere else in the world. No other. It was just so beautiful, and I felt I'd come home. And also at that time, it was just the tents. It was very rustic, and I had a beautiful experience with the countryside every day, praying at the trees. It was really fantastic. And over the years, you hear about these buildings going up, and I thought, oh gosh, will I like the buildings when I get there? Will it ruin the pristine Garden of Eden type feel? But it is, I do like that. This is the Chongqing One, and I do really like that building. On the right, walking down the hill there, I can remember going down that hill when it was just a gravel path. And when we were doing, but now it's concreted, tarmacked over or whatever. On the left, at the left of the Chonjongum, the Chonshim one, sorry, is the Chombo one. And this is described as the hall of heavenly tribal messiahs. And sort of the little pamphlet that goes with it says, it's an experiential and educational space where you can have a substantial encounter with Chononguk, the world of one family under God. Chombo One is the place where you can learn about and experience True Parents' work of salvation for the secure and thriving establishment of Chononguk. The exemplary Chombo families who have been working to establish God's kingdom, the history of the Chombo Training Center, and the foundation for the future that is proceeding under the supervision of True Mother in the age of works by the substantial Holy Spirit. So that's that building. Inside, this is the Garden of Eden Fantasia. Now, it looks corny from the photographs, I must admit. But when you're there, it's really, really nice. There's music, not sort of new agey music sort of going, tinkling stuff, and there's you can hear birds, and that deer walks along, and you can see fish swimming below your feet, and it's really, really nice. And this represents the Garden of Eden. And the idea, of course, is to make you think and to meditate. What would it be like if I was really in the Garden of Eden? It makes you think that. And then you go through a curtain or a doorway, and then you see on the wall, like Cain killing Abel. It's like a video playing. And then there's kind of the wars and awful history, and you think, oh gosh, you've walked from the Garden of Eden into this hellish thing. And then you go through another doorway, and it's absolutely pitch black. And you have to sort of feel your way along in this thing. And it's like, I realise it's meant to represent fallen human history, just wandering in darkness. And then eventually you come out and there's this large, life-size picture of True Parents' blessing, True Parents being blessed. And although it's rather subdued lighting, it hits you really strongly after the previous 3 experiences. Then, boom, there's True Parents. Then you go a bit further, and there's True Parents, a statue of True Parents giving the blessing. And then you go on to the history of the blessing, and so on. It goes on to the history of the blessed families. And then, that's on the first floor. On the third floor, you've got the Heavenly Tribal Messiah Gallery. So you might recognise some people in these pictures. Now, we're not permanently up there. These are computer screens, and you have to type your name in, and then you pop up. On other floors, there's museum things. There's True Father's lamp, oil lamp that he used, and True Mother's notebooks and things like that. And there's a representation of the Chompadong Church and things. Really, it's quite nice. It's not actually a gold pillar, but here's our names on the pillar. Actually, that reminds me of the TARDIS, doesn't it? It's just like the TARDIS. Anyway, it's not a solid gold pillar, but that was probably a little bit unrealistic anyway. Just Father expressing his heart. I mean, it's great that we have our names there, but I have to remember it's only by grace that my picture is there. What's the definition of a Chombo couple? There was 3 categories of evaluation. Life of faith, do you go to Sunday service, do you tithe, no drinking or smoking, do you follow tradition, church tradition? Standards of Chonol-guk, no divorce or immorality, no misuse of public funds, no emotional abuse, no hurting people's hearts. Heavenly Tribal Messiah, ancestor blessing of 430 generations, Tribal Messiah of 430 couples. So you accomplish that, and then you can be said to be a Chombo couple. However, we all know it's possible to get through a test without really being qualified. I remember I passed my driving test after 6 weeks, first time, but I didn't really know how to drive. Fortunately, Tim Reed sat beside me for about 2 months as we drove from Wembley to Shepherd's Bush, and that's when I, learned to drive. If I didn't have Tim beside me, it would have been terrible. I had my own. So like 2-3 months, and there we had to parallel park, squeeze the car into tiny spaces. So you can use power, you can use your willpower and intelligence to accomplish things rather than faith and growing your heart. The system is there, designed to help you grow your faith and deepen your heart, but it's possible to sidestep that. I'm sure many people did grow their heart and really do qualify, but have you heard the expression gaming the system? It's something they use in business, gaming the system. So, there's the system being set up, and you find a way to get round the system, and you aim to complete the test, not to fulfill what the reason for the test. My son, Kenta, for example, he is a sales engineer. The salesman, he's not a salesman. The salesman, they get a bonus based on sales. Kenta doesn't. Because they want him to be able to say, this product is not for you. So, can you see? A salesman's motivated by money. They want Kenta to be motivated by giving the customer a good product. So that's good understanding of the system. Aja, in last week's hometown week newsletter, he said, it's so easy and is the curse of many religions to become routinized and calcified at the point where the founder ceases to guide the disciples. So this is why grace is required. How can we go through this evaluation properly? So anyway, somehow I got through the evaluation, and now I'm supposed to live the life of a saint and a divine son. So, I forgot. Oh, yes. When we were in Korea the previous time, we were given this book, Chombo Guidebook. It's mostly maps and things, but these slides, the previous slide, this slide, and the next slide came from the back of the book. So, one slide there says, who is a Chombo couple? And the answer is those who fulfill family pledge number 2. Our family, the owner of Chonol-guk, pledges to represent and become central to heaven and earth by attending God and true parents. We pledge to perfect the dutiful family way of filial sons and daughters in our family, patriots in our nation, saints in the world, and divine sons and daughters in heaven and earth by centering on true love. So that is the definition of a Chombo couple. The last slide, the last page in that little book says, living a life toward becoming a Chombo couple. A life without the need to receive grace. A person with the character of true love. Leaders with spirituality. Life of a saint and divine son or daughter. And I think this is a key point. The heading said, "Living a life toward becoming a Chombo couple." So we have these levels of evaluation to evaluate ourselves, really. I was kind of happy just doing the first two, but Chizuko really wanted to accomplish the third one. And I was very happy to support her in it. But in reality, how well educated are those 430 couples? And even on the other side, how well am I fulfilling? How deep is my life of faith? How well do I have lived to the standards of a Chonoguk citizen? So this is why special grace is required. That special grace is required so that somehow we can get through this evaluation and then start to work on being a Chombo couple, a Chombo. If the ultimate goal is to live a life of a saint and be a divine son, how desperately do I want to accomplish this? Actually, this is nothing new. We've been saying Family Pledge for 29 years. So back in 1994. In one sense, True Mother has just re-emphasised and repackaged Family Pledge number 2, or what Father has asked us to accomplish. And I felt like saying, oh, you mean we really do have to live the life of a saint? And True Mother says, yes, you really do have to reach that level. You really have to achieve that standard. So how do we do that? How do we find this heart of Chombo? The HJ Heaven and Earth Chombo Training Centre is geared towards prayer and meditation. It's so easy to pray there. You can think about, what is the way forward? What's holding me back? Along the trails, there is words from True Father or True Mother, and you can meditate on these short little phrases from True Parents. Here we are climbing up towards Heavenly Fortune Peak. I turned around at one point, and Chizuko was a little bit far behind me. We do find them a little bit difficult these days. But it's so tranquil there. It's so busy and noisy down on the plaza and in the halls, but you come out on the path and it's really beautiful. And you could hear the birds calling, you could hear the water, because it had been raining a lot, you could hear the water dripping on the leaves. Really tranquil, really beautiful. It's interesting. I was talking with Ashley and others on the Chombo weekend, and we several people say, "Oh, I don't know, this loud prayer, and I'd rather go into the countryside and listen to beautiful, that's where I really find God." And then in the song we sang this morning, how's the phrase go? More than words and good ideas, I find love in the open fields. And David, in his introduction, said, get out into nature. But of course, True Father loved getting out into nature. And that's 50% or more of what the training centre is all about. Beautiful nature, beautiful countryside. And you can pray there and you can feel close to God. But you don't meet your fallen nature when you're walking out in beautiful creation. You can the stress goes, the struggle in your life, and you can feel pure and holy. But there are still problems there. There are still things to resolve. You're not confronted with your problems. So we have to complement the countryside, to complement the walks and the trails, there's the great works and the ordinary Chanyang sessions. And that's where we do the desperate and loud prayer. I remember True Father once saying that prayer was like trying to stop someone jumping off a bridge that you couldn't reach. If you're passionate about something, you're going to raise your voice. When you watch sport, for example, you're going to raise your voice. This was while the entertainment was going on, but this was the great works. It was packed in there. You know, people were really crunched up. And even though I sat on a chair, you know, there were people leaning against me. It's difficult, you know, but you find problems within yourself. Normally, this is our Chombo event here a couple of weeks ago. Last week. Normally, I'm really inspired by the Chanyang team. I'm often really moved by the Chanyang team when they're doing their business on the stage, and it just moves me to tears. Their energy, enthusiasm, their bright spirit. Here, Alma is leading, but in the last session, I had a very different experience with the brother that travels round Mont Lang. While he was leading, I felt really angry and annoyed. And God, why has he got to shout so loud? And I recognised it for what it was. There was something going on inside. And the advice we were given was, when you notice some evil spirit or resentful spirit coming up, just ask him to move on. Ask him to go on to go with the angels. Go off to the workshop. So I tried that, and I calmed down, and it passed. And then it came back, and in the end, it wasn't too difficult to get rid of it. But I knew it was irrational. I knew it was spiritual. And when we had a discussion group afterwards, and I talked about it, I said, I don't really know what it was or why it was. And someone said, I think it was Margaret Ali said to me, well, perhaps because he's French. Sorry? Adja said it. Perhaps because he's French. And I thought, that's it. In my church life, maybe 3 times, I've had this really irrational, antagonistic feeling towards a French brother. I didn't know he was French. Mont Lang, I didn't know he was French at all. And in the early days, we were often told, oh, you'll meet someone that your ancestors, that you need to restore. And so several times in the past, I've had to, even a guy that I liked, I used to get annoyed with in the past. Anyway, I realised this was some ancestral historical problem. You know, for those of you who don't know, most of you will know, England and France have had a rather troubled history over the centuries. Anyway, we're told after the Chanyang session to go to the Chonshim One. And, you know, you're in there, this great room full of people, and you've been doing all your spiritual works, and then you go out and you've got to find your shoes, someone's moved them, and you've got to try and get your shoes on without a chair, without a table, leaning on shoes. I go, put my shoes on. Have we really got to go across the room, across the road, across the plaza, take our shoes off again, and go and pray? Or maybe we can just go for a walk or go for lunch. Anyway, I went each time, and each time I had a deep experience in prayer. And it's really beautiful in there, in the Chonshim One. It's really great. I love the atmosphere in there. Always had deep prayer. I always felt close to God and true penance. And then it was quite tiring over the whole week, and on the last night before we were leaving Korea, we were going to go to Japan the next day, go on holiday, go to the onsen, soak in the hot spring bath. And I was praying, Heavenly Father, tomorrow we're leaving. And I sobbed. And I thought, where did that come from? I thought I was happy to go. Somewhere deep inside me, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave this place. And then we went round Japan, and we went to visit Yasun's parents down in Kyushu. And we went he took us to the Kurame church, and he said, let's go and pray in the Chonshinwan. For 2 weeks we'd been travelling around, and I walked into the prayer room and burst into tears. I felt like I'd come home. And I told this story to President Impyo Moon. And when he was giving his lecture, he looked at me and he said, True Mother said, True Father works in the Chonshinwan. And when I go to the spirit world, I will be working in the Chonshinwan as well. And Impyo Moon looked at me and he said, that's why you feel at home there. You're going to where your parents are. But also, we're told in the lectures that, you may get rid of evil spirits during the Chanyang, but often they're kind of hanging on. You go to the Chonshinwan and then you can get rid of them completely. So we need these spiritual experiences. Divine principles not enough. We need to understand true parents' life, and we need to have spiritual experiences. And this is why the Chonshinwan is being moved around the world. Someone was, Vanya yesterday was saying how at one time we were told don't do Chanyang outside of Korea. And it was right. We shouldn't do it because it wasn't. You need the right environment. But True Mother and the team is bringing that environment around. It's really important that we have the right environment to do this, because this is spirit world we're talking about. So we need that right environment, and that is why we have very experienced people coming around and showing us and teaching us. So one more slide. Just on Friday, I was doing 100K, and I found this quote, and this quote really resonated with me. I think True Father here is talking to HQ, headquarters staff. Quite often Father would talk to leaders and headquarters staff and remind them of things. And this is what he said. While you are sleeping, some of your brothers and sisters are following the will, staying up late at night and shedding tears. While you have full stomachs, some of your fellow family members are going hungry. Therefore, even when you are eating or sleeping, you need to have a tearful heart. Help them through spiritual power. Pray for them and make an altar for them. You should always keep the altar clean and pray to God, telling him that you are ready to submit yourself as an offering, day or night, especially when a brother or sister is going through a difficult course of the cross. You should at least prepare internally to fight alongside the person. Otherwise, sooner or later, you will end up being separated from those who are fighting on the front line. If that happens, you will fall behind and end up a defeated soldier. So, True Mother instigated this 21-day prayer. She said, prayer condition at the Chonshinwan. And she said, you have to pray out loud. You've got to pray loud. And that's been going on now for and after that 21 days, they continued it, and it's going on for over 700 days now. President Impyo Moon, he said, he held up this little stick. He goes, what's this stick? That it's not for hitting you with. And he had writing on it. He said, this is because I did 300, I attended 300 prayer vigils. And when he prays, he holds this stick and he sort of brings that power of the prayer vigil with him. The Chombro Providence is being carried around the world, and we've got to catch that wave. And we've got to find that desperation in ourselves to become divine sons and daughters. Thank you. Please join me in prayer. Our beloved Heavenly Parent, True Mother is desperate to raise us up, to get us to fulfill the words that we have been pledging to do, to become your divine sons and daughters. Of course, this is a big task, but True Mother is saying that it's possible. We want to find that heart within ourselves, to live the life of a saint, to live the life of a divine son or daughter. It takes effort. We will make mistakes, but we have to keep moving forward. True Mother has found a way to bring that spirit to us. She wants us to deepen and develop our hearts, to understand divine principle, to understand True Parent's life, and to have spiritual experiences, whether in the Chongqing one or out in the countryside. We need to continue to connect with you and to bring that to others. True Mother doesn't want the Chonjonggung to be empty. She wants it to be full of people that have been blessed by True Parents. Please guide us in all of this. I report in my name, Nigel, Blessing Troll Family, our Jew.